If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we are joined now by Carl Edwards, driver of the number 99 Fastenal Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Carl, what's it like to be here at the World Center of Racing? We're getting ready for the 56th running of the Daytona 500. What's it feel like?
I'm sad that it's raining. I was really excited to come here. I'm more excited about testing here at Daytona than I have been in a long time. It's been kind of a cold, boring winter for me in Missouri. So the idea of coming to Florida and driving a race car sounds really good.
So you're the one that brought the rain.
Yeah, don't lay it on me. I hope it doesn't rain for 2 days. I don't know what the forecast is tomorrow, but we'd definitely like to get on the racetrack.
That's great. If we could have you raise your hand for questions, we'll call on you.
Good food choice there.
We'll start right over here with Dwight. Please state your name and affiliation.
Dwight Drum, RaceState.com. I'll ask you the same question I asked Kyle. As far as coming, is there any special time of the, it's a long season for you guys. Is there any special time of the year that you like better than others? And is there any time that kind of like gives you more energy?
And you guys know how it is. The start of the season is there's always a lot of energy, and the Daytona 500 is huge. That day is probably one of the most energy-filled days in all of motorsports. And then the end of the season can get really exciting. But I don't know, the whole year there are times where it just depends on how you're running. There are times where it feels like a real grind, and then there are times when you literally can't wait to get to the racetrack to go race again. So I think it depends on how you're running at the time. But some events are, the Indy 500, the Brickyard 400, Kansas for me, Homestead when you're in the chase and you got a shot at it. All those times I think are the real high points of the season.
Okay, we'll go next to Mike, and then we'll go back to Bob, to Lee, and then to Ken.
Mike Hembry, Athlon Sports. Carl, Brian Francis talked again this week about possible major changes in competition and points and trying to make guys run harder for wins, that sort of thing. What do you anticipate happening, and what's your reaction? Do you feel like drivers can be tossed incentives to make them run harder, try at the front more?
That's interesting. I've had actually got a phone call one time from a promoter after a race, and he asked me, what could I do? Is there, how much money could I offer to make guys race harder? It was a race that didn't end very dramatically, and I tried to explain to him that we didn't, all of us race to win. That's the whole point. That's why we started racing. We didn't. I raced just as hard in my little 4-cylinder modified car as I race now. There's no I think it was $40 to win or something in those races. It doesn't matter. The money's not important. It's not about incentive like that. It's just we're trying to win. So whatever format they come up with, there will be only two things on each driver's mind. That's to win the race and to win the championship, and that's it. So we're racing as hard as we can. They can be, and I think they should be. I think they're, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off base, and this is not what everyone else thinks, but to me, the championship is a different goal. It's a different prize than winning the race. And throughout my career as both a fan and a driver, I've looked at those two things. I've looked at you watch a race, and there's the race and what happens in the race and who wins and that battle for that trophy. But there are also there are the championship implications behind that, and that's an exciting battle in itself. So I don't know. I don't know how you make it perfect all the time. I don't know how I don't know that you can make every race as important as the final lap of the final race for the championship. But I can tell you this: every driver out there, we don't have to get motivated to go try to win that race. If anything, you have to sometimes not be too motivated so you don't ruin your championship hopes. So I think it's a battle, but everyone's doing the best they can. I guess let me put it simply. I don't think there's any incentive you can throw out there that's going to make people go put on a better race. I'm not certain of that. I feel that we're all racing pretty hard.
Go next to Bob, then up to Lee, and over to Ken.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. How much testing do you expect to have over the next couple of months in the non-plate package, and what are your kind of impressions of the rules that they set a few weeks ago?
I hope we can have as much testing. I mean, literally as much as we can do is what we'll do. I've spoke at length with Gene Stefanishin and the folks during that test. We've had a little bit of correspondence afterwards, and I think like a lot of folks said that the way that they did that test, it was perfect. I think all of us, including NASCAR, are curious to expand the envelope a little bit and try some different parameters farther outside the box. Whether it's much softer tires or much less downforce, things like that. And I think that could be something we see in the future. But the process was really, really impressive, the way that NASCAR tested those things. And I believe of the 3 things we tested, basically 3 packages, I think that they chose the best one in my opinion.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Can you talk a little bit about what Roush Racing did over the offseason to try to put you in a better position for 2014, you and Biffle and even Stenhouse? I mean, obviously Stenhouse went through a crew chief change, which should help him get up to speed. But, mechanically speaking, what have you guys done?
Well, we got Robbie Reiser working about 25 hours a day, which is good. We just sat and talked for the last hour and a half about the state of Roush Fenway, what we're working on. And I think that's just that in itself has been huge for Robbie to sit down in a room with Greg and Ricky and myself, Doug Yates, Jack Roush. I mean, we've communicated better than we ever have. But I think for us as a company, the simple way of putting it is we feel like we have the best people. We feel like we have the best manufacturer support behind us. We feel like we have we believe we have drivers that are, including myself, that are as good as anybody in the garage, that we can compete. And we have to put all of that together. And we have to have a really strong leader like Robbie Reiser to put all of it together and to see the results that we think we should have. So that's what we've been working on. Without going into details, if we can basically be a stronger team and be greater than the sum of our individual parts, I think we're going to be very good. I asked Robbie about that last night. We flew down here together. He said the changes to the Ford specifically are negligible performance-wise, so it shouldn't really make a difference. The big keys for us are the way we work together as a team.
Go next to Ben here in the front.
Okay. Ben White with Lexington Dispatch, and I'm not Ken, by the way. That's okay. I've been called worse. As far as, Carl, turning points, I've asked other drivers this morning, turning points in your career, as far as the one thing that moved you to the level, to the biggest next level for you, I mean, where you are, what would you say that was? Who gave you that break that got you noticed?
I have multiple spots where I think of as bottlenecks in my career, and the goal for me was to be able to make a living driving a race car, and now it's different. I mean, I want to be the champion of the Sprint Cup Series more than anything in the world. But I'd say that the fact that Kenny Schrader gave me an opportunity to come down and see the sport, the professional side of NASCAR and what it could be, that was huge for me when I was 16, 17 years old. That was big. Him and Timmy Cahuth did a lot for me. And the single largest opportunity I had was from Mike Mittler. The fact that he ran that NASCAR truck shop right out of his business in Forestdale, Missouri, up the road. I mean, that allowed me to go up there and basically beg him for 3 years to let me drive his truck, and that was huge. And then the opportunities, the huge opportunity was when Kyle Busch left Roush Fenway and left that 99 truck seat there, and Max Jones and Jeff Smith and Jack decided to give me that opportunity. I felt like all of those, each one of those moments barely happened, and if they wouldn't have happened, then I definitely wouldn't have the job I have today. So I'm real grateful, more than grateful for all that.
Go to Reed next, and then over to Claire.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. You've always been, as far as I know, an advocate of taking downforce off the cars.
Yeah.
And it seems like with the new package, what they've actually done is added a little bit of downforce.
Yeah.
Do you think ultimately they may experiment with with something that goes in the direction that you'd like to see?
I think they will, and that's the most exciting thing to me about the whole process. I'm not a very patient person, and so it's difficult for me to say, hey, okay, we'll go ahead and go down this road for a while. But I think the coolest part of that test was the fact that, well, a couple things. Number one, Brian France, Mike Helton, Darby, Stefanition, all those guys, they're open to the fact that, hey, we can change these cars and make them better and make the racing better. That's good. And they're real open and honest with us, more than I've ever seen. They'll share with us and listen to the drivers more, which might not be smart, but that's good. And then the second thing is we got done with that test, and even though everyone didn't agree on everything, they said, hey, listen, just give us a little time. We'll work with Goodyear. We'll come up with another test plan. There's more things we can test down the road. And they're committed. I mean, you can say what you like about NASCAR or the directions they go, but they are very committed to changing whatever it takes to be the best we can be. And I've seen that more lately than ever, and that makes me excited.
Go to Claire, then back over to Nate.
Claire
But yeah,
Belay. Go ahead.
But for the record, I'd be all for chopping the spoilers completely off and wetting down the track and drive. But that's me. They know that about me.
Claire Belang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. How much of effect do you get the feel that if we miss a whole day here today would make, other than you're kind of hanging out with not a lot to do? And when do you think you'll get an idea? You said communication is great at Roush Fenway. You guys were not ahead of the game as much last year. When will you know or get an idea as to really where you're at?
It's tough. We talked a lot about that just a little while ago. Well, first of all, the testing, to be honest, I mean, we're not going to miss much here. We have tons of practice before the race. We were going to go out and make single car runs for 2 days and try to find that last little bit of speed. But I'll never forget the nationwide race. I think it was at Talladega when Kyle Busch won with basically the fenders all ripped off the car and the hood buckled and all that. And I remember making a mental note. It's like, it's more about where you position yourself at the end than the shape of your race car. So we're all this is just kind of fun time to get out, try some different things and prepare for qualifying. On the second part of your question is that we won't know where we stand until basically 10, 15 races into the season. And even then, if you look at last year, we led the points after 26, and we fell on our faces in the chase. So it's a constantly moving, it's a target that you can't ever really catch. But we will know if we've made improvements, and I think that'll be evidenced by Ricky and Greg and I being able to lead laps and win races the first part of the season.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Carl, following up on what you said there about NASCAR executives being more committed than ever to changing whatever it takes. Jimmy Johnson was in here earlier and was saying that format changes he thought were going to be kind of the key going forward, not just points, but it sounds like other stuff could be a possibility. Are you in favor of that, and do you think that's where they're leaning, and do you think there are benefits to it?
Well, I can't imagine Jimmy being in favor of any changes ever right now. But no, I mean, they do a good job dealing with any changes. I don't know. I'm torn on the format. I can see from a very self-centered standpoint. I think the way our team is right now and the way everything is, I'd rather see if we made any change, it would be to make the chase longer or to put less emphasis on those last 10 races, because we're better on the whole throughout the whole season right now. But I don't know. I think that there's something to be said about the history of the sport, keeping things, not moving things too far away from where we came from as far as determining a champion. And then I also think that we have to be careful not to diminish the, I don't know what the term is, but not to, you don't want to take away the credibility of a format just by simply changing it all the time. I mean, how you wouldn't believe if a cop tries to pull you over and give you a ticket because the speed limit's different every day in the same road you drive. I mean, eventually it's like, come on, man. So we gotta have the same measure of everyone, I think, somewhat year to year. Now, I think the idea of giving more points to wins and things like that, I like that idea. I think that's interesting. But I don't want to, you don't want to change things all the time just to change. I guess I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions.
Any more questions for Carl? The gentleman in the back.
Yeah, hi, John Gunn, NASCAR Illustrated. In terms of the Gen 6 car and the changes, what areas would you not like to see changed going down the road?
Well, I personally, for me, I think the more horsepower we have, the better. I think that the more opportunities that we have for people to fail in that, they don't put RPM limits on the cars. They don't put camber rules on the cars. When you give people out there the opportunity to try too hard and to fail, I think it makes a more exciting event, and I think it really pays off for the people that have their act together. So you don't want to child-proof the cars so much that that they're hard to spin out, that they're that they're hard to wear the tires out, that they're easy to drive. You don't want to make it so simple that everyone can run the same speed, because I think that it just kind of dulls the competition a little bit. So that's my input. That's what I've told the Gene and the folks there at NASCAR, and I may or may not be right. I don't know if who would agree with me and who wouldn't, but that's how I feel about it.
Carl, thanks a lot for joining us here today, and it looks like you are chasing the rain away. So you can
great.
take credit
That's good.
for that.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys get bored, holler at me. It's really exciting over there in the trailer. So just come see me if you want.
Thanks again, Carl. Just a quick announcement.